those children too, singing through a cowboy hat. Big old clouds just like that. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Above the door puts the brakes on floating more than 10 times the Earth's circumference. If you use the sun for reference, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Bong, bong, bong. Little paws that grip and claw, pull and tug and force the fall, flooding our fertile lands, giving birth to carpet plants. A towel, I could use a towel, or then a trowel, I'll need a trowel. These choices, they face me. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Say mouse in the barn, 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 bong bong bong. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong. Say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, say mouse in the barn, bong bong bong.
Don't bogart that joint, my friend. Pass it over to me. Don't bogart that joint, my friend. Pass it over to me. Roll another one. just like the other one. This is seems to be about to quit, and I need another hit. Don't bogart that joint, my friend. Pass it all around. Don't bogart that joint, my friend. Just pass it on down. Roll another one, just like the other one. This one seems to be about spent, and I don't have another cent. Don't hold on that joint, my friend. Just pass it on down. Don't bogart that joint, my friend. Just pass it around. But don't bogart that joint. Just pass it around. I don't bogart that joint now. Or just pass it on down.
Check, check, 1 2 1 2, check, check.
Got you.
Check 1 2 3.
We're good.
Okay.
People say I'm no good, crazy as a loon. 'Cause I get stoned in the morning, I get drunk in the afternoon. Kinda like my old blue tick town, wanna lay around in the sheets. I ain't got no money, but I damn sure got it made. 'Cause I ain't asking nobody for nothing if I can't get it on my own. If you don't like the way I'm living, just leave this long-haired country boy alone. Poor girl wants to marry, rich girl wants to flirt. Rich man goes to college, and a poor man goes to work. A drunkard wants another drink of wine, and a politician wants a vote. I don't want much of nothing at all, but I will take another toast. I ain't asking nobody for nothing if I can't get it on my own. If you don't like the way I'm living, just leave this long-haired country boy alone. Preacher man talking on the TV, putting down the rock and roll. Wants me to send the donation, 'cause he's worried about my soul. Saying Jesus walked on the water, well I know that it's true. Sometimes I think that preacher man might do a little bluffing too. I ain't asking nobody for nothing if I can't get it on my own. If you don't like the way I'm living, just leave this long-haired country boy
You are invited to participate in a true multimedia experience coming to a home near you. LCM TV is bringing Lake County into the new millennium with news, live broadcast, information, music, talk shows, and local programming, all streaming in high definition online and soon to be on your Roku box. Join us at lcm-tv.com or be a part of our studio audience. You can also watch the shows at lakecomagazine.com as we provide programming to inform, enlighten, and maybe even enrage you. On Lake County Magazine Talk Show with Terry and Pete the Tax Guy, Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Like racing? Try the Checkered Flag Show, hosted by Ace Naylor on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. All ages and divisions in regional and national fields. Joni Lane brings a positive light to you every Monday at 3 p.m. Pasha Space brings an international flair as they discuss ecological, health, and social issues in Haiti with people around the world. End up your week with positive, conscious sounds on Saturday at 9 a.m. with Sister T on the Bridge. This show is also simulcast on KMEC 105.1 FM in Ukiah. Our latest show, LCM TV News, is brought to you live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon, and rebroadcast at 6:30 p.m. and noon daily, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday, featuring national, regional, and local news, weather, and sports. We have it all here for you on your local TV station, LCM TV. Join us online and soon on Roku, giving you access to all the best Lake County has to offer. We are LCMTV.com, your multimedia connection. Tune in for the fun. It's live TV at its best.
Good afternoon. This is LCM TV News at noon. We're not your normal news. I'm Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger.
And for those who just finished watching LCM Talk Show on this channel, thank you for staying tuned for the news. With national news, there's now a baker's dozen of Republican candidates. On Monday, Jeb Bush became number 12, a son and brother of presidents, formally declared a White House candidacy of his own, portraying himself as the most accomplished leader in the 2016 field, vowing to wage war on Washington's political culture and insisting that his family name gave him no unique claim to the Oval Office. Bush directly confronted the central doubt looming over his candidacy, that he presents the latest incarnation of a tired dynasty and thinks himself entitled to the Republican nomination. Not one of us deserves the job by right of resume, party, seniority, family, or family narrative, he told a crowd of 3,000 supporters in a community college's gymnasium. It's nobody's turn, it's everyone's test. In declaring his presidential bid, he promised to remove Washington as an obstacle to effective government and economic prosperity, saying America deserves better. Mr. Bush, whose tenure as governor of Florida was marked by the privatization of traditional state services, vowed to take Washington, the static capital of this dynamic country, out of the business of causing problems.
Number 13 rounded out the field as New York real estate mogul and reality TV star Donald Trump declared himself on Tuesday as a candidate for the Republican nomination for president after teasing us for years. In a strong pro-business, pro-military speech, an unabashed Trump vowed to stop the Islamic State, keep Iran from building a nuclear weapon, repeal Obamacare, build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, and charge Mexico for it. Repeal President Obama's executive orders on immigration and spend more on infrastructure. Trump stated that nobody could be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. And I'm really rich, while waving a financial statement that showed his net worth at nearly $9 billion. Though he faces an uphill challenge in trying to win the GOP nomination, the 69-year-old Trump adds an undeniable element of surprise to the race. Trump's business success will likely position him as a candidate riding a strong free market, pro-business platform. Trump, who was born in Queens, inherited his father's successful real estate company in 1972. He attended the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business.
He's going to be a welcome addition, I think.
My goodness.
Comical maybe,
I-
but
I-
welcome addition.
I want to see him on the debates. That's
Yeah,
going
he'll
to
be
be
good.
hilarious.
Okay, front office personnel for the St. Louis Cardinals, one of the most successful teams in baseball over the past 2 decades, are under investigation by the FBI and Justice Department prosecutors, accused of hacking into an internal network of the Houston Astros to steal closely guarded information about players. Investigators have uncovered evidence that Cardinals employees broke into a network that housed special databases the team had built. Internal discussions about trades, proprietary statistics, and scouting reports was compromised. The officials did not say which employees were the focus of the investigation or whether the team's highest-ranking officials were aware of the hacking or authorized it. Subpoenas have been served on the Cardinals and Major League Baseball for electronic correspondence. The attack would represent the first known case of corporate espionage in which a professional sports team hacked the network of another team. Major League Baseball has been aware of and has fully cooperated with the federal investigation. The Cardinals personnel under investigation have not been put on leave, suspended, or fired as of this time. The commissioner's office will probably wait until the conditions of the government's investigation to determine whether to take disciplinary action against the employees or the team.
The federal government cannot verify nearly $3 billion in subsidies distributed through Obamacare, putting significant taxpayer funding at risk, according to a new audit report. The Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, Office of Inspector General, OIG, released an audit Tuesday finding that the agency did not have an internal system to ensure that subsidies went to the right enrollees or in the correct amounts. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services internal controls did not effectively ensure the accuracy of nearly $2.8 billion in aggregate financial assistance payments made to insurance companies under the Affordable Care Act during the first 4 months that these payments were made. CMS's system of internal controls could not ensure that CMS made correct financial assistance payments. The OIG reviewed subsidies paid to insurance companies between January and April of 2014. The audit found that CMS did not have a process to prevent or detect any possible substantial errors in subsidy payments. The OIG said the agency did not have a system to ensure that financial assistance payments were made on behalf of confirmed enrollees in the correct amounts. In addition, CMS relied too heavily on data from health insurance companies and had no system for state-based exchanges to submit enrollee eligibility data for financial assistance payments.
Now, you would think with the 7,000-odd page Obamacare Act or the Health Affordable Act, they would have some type of controls built in?
Yeah, you
of
would
course.
think.
You would think. Anyway, our government at work. The world's largest underground aquifers are a source of fresh water for hundreds of millions of people, are being depleted at alarming rates, according to a new NASA satellite data that provides the most detailed picture yet of vital water reserves hidden underneath the Earth's surfaces. 21 of the world's 37 largest aquifers in locations from India and China to the United States and France have passed their sustainability tipping points, meaning more water was removed than replaced during a decade-long study period. 13 aquifers declined at rates that put them into the most troubled category. The researchers said that this indicated a long-term problem that's likely to worsen as reliance on aquifers grows. Scientists have long suspected that humans were taxing the world's underground water supply, but the NASA data was the first detailed assessment to demonstrate that major aquifers were indeed struggling to keep pace with demands from agriculture, growing populations, and industries such as mining. Underground aquifers supply 35% of the water used by humans worldwide. Demand is even greater in times of drought. Rainstar of California is currently tapping aquifers for 60% of its water use as its rivers and above-ground reservoirs dry up, a steep increase from the usual 40%. Some expect water from aquifers will account for virtually every drop of the state's fresh water supply by year end. The aquifers under the most stress are in poor, densely populated regions such as Northwest India, Pakistan, and South Africa, where alternatives are limited and water shortages could quickly lead to instability.
North Africa.
I said North Africa, folks, but that's okay. California's Central Valley Aquifer was the most troubled in the United States. It is being drained to irrigate farm fields where drought has led to an explosion in the number of water wells being drilled. California only last year passed its first extensive groundwater regulations, but the new law could take 2 decades to take full effect.
Süleyman Demirel, who served as Turkey's prime minister 7 times, dominating the nation's politics during decades when the country struggled with violence, economic stagnation, and military rule, died early Wednesday in the capital, Ankara. He was 90 years old. Guven Hospital in Ankara confirmed the death in a statement. In a career that stretched nearly half a century, Demirel, who became Turkey's president after his many returns as prime minister, was the nation's most remarkable political survivor, coming back after periods of economic stagnation, widespread social unrest, and even a ban from public life.
Who says we can't have fun doing the news? The Federal Communications Commission is expected to approve on Thursday a proposal to explore subsidizing broadband internet for poor Americans. The plan paves the way for sweeping changes to a $1.7 billion phone subsidy program known as Lifeline and seeks to offer recipients a choice between technologies. Republicans have strongly opposed extending the subsidy to broadband, pointing to past instances of fraud in the program. As part of the plan to be voted on this week, stricter controls to be established to ensure eligible households claimed only one subsidy of $9.25 a month. The plan introduced last month by FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler is expected to receive support from the Commission's Democratic majority. If approved, the anti-fraud measures would take effect soon after, and the Commission would then outline the specifics of incorporating broadband into the program. A necessary final vote by the FCC on those details could come before the end of the year.
The Federal Reserve did not raise interest rates when it met on Tuesday and Wednesday. It left its benchmark rate near zero, where it had rested since December 2008. But there is a growing expectation that the Feds will start raising rates at its September meeting. Investors will seek affirmation or cautionary notes in the Fed's post-meeting statement and in remarks by Janet L. Yellen, the Fed's chairwoman, at a news conference later today. We'll be back in one brief moment with your regional news.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals, providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services. They feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
And welcome back. We're having fun today, folks. In regional news, a balcony collapsed Tuesday in an apartment building in Berkeley, killing 5 Irish students and 1 American student, leaving 7 others injured. Police received a call about the incident shortly before 1 a.m. local time Tuesday. When officers arrived, they found that the balcony on the 4th floor of the building on Kittredge Street has disintegrated. Many of the injured have critical, life-threatening wounds. 4 died at the scene and 1 at a hospital. At a Tuesday afternoon news conference, Alameda County Sheriff Sergeant J.D. Nelson identified the victims as Ashley Donahue, 22, of Rohnert Park, Oliva Burke, Egan Colligan, Lorcan Miller, and Nikolai Schuster and Emir Walsh, all 21 and from Ireland. Irish Foreign Minister Charlie Flanagan told reporters in Dublin that the students were in the U.S. on temporary J-1 visas. The investigation appears to be focusing on the amount of students who were out on the balcony prior to the collapse. Irish Prime Minister Edna Kenny says police told him there were 13 people on the balcony at the time. A police spokesman told the Chronicle that people are not allowed on the balconies. Don't understand that.
Yeah, what's the point of having a balcony if you can't step outside? Government or Governor Jerry Brown and legislative leaders on Tuesday announced a $115.4 billion budget that sends billions of dollars more to public schools and universities in the fiscal year that begins July 1st and boosts spending on social welfare programs that legislative leaders have made a priority. The budget includes $265 million to add 7,000 state-subsidized preschool slots and $6,800 for child care and extends the state's health program for the poor to children who are in the country illegally at a cost of $40 million a year. Brown also announced he is calling 2 special sessions to address how California funds roads, highways, and other infrastructure and Medi-Cal, the state's health insurance program for the poor. The total spending is far closer to Brown's proposal in May for a $115 billion budget than the budget proposed by the democratically controlled legislature, which passed a $117.5 billion spending plan a day earlier. Democrats had sought to restore spending on a host of social welfare programs that were cut during the recession, calling for $749 million in additional spending. Brown has cautioned about overspending as the state rebounds from the economic recovery, forecasting that the state could fall short of expected tax revenues. The budget plan includes $14.3 billion for kindergarten through the 12th grade schools and community colleges, $380 million for a new earned income tax credit to help the working poor, $1 billion to deferred payments owed to schools, and $765 million in debt owed to local governments. Lawmakers will schedule a vote on the new spending plan so that it can be adopted before the start of the fiscal year on July 1st.
And for those of you who use social media, pay attention to this story, please. A Republican lawmaker accidentally cast his party's first vote for the California budget in years because he was distracted by Facebook. Assemblyman Scott Wilk was the sole Republican to vote for California's record $117.5 billion spending plan on Monday. The Santa Clarita lawmaker later clarified he accidentally supported the bill in the Capitol while posting it on Facebook. He posted on Twitter, "My wife is right, I can't multitask." Sounds familiar. California's budget is being negotiated between Governor Jerry Brown and Democratic legislative leaders. They have yet to reach a final deal. Wilk's blunder won't show up on the official legislative record because the Assembly allows lawmakers to change their official votes. He did so after the session ended, receiving applause from fellow Republicans and boos from the Democrats.
A 10-year-old girl who lost consciousness after riding a roller coaster at Southern California Amusement Park died over the weekend, coroner's officials said Monday. Ed Winter, a spokesman for the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office, said that Jasmine Martinez of Somis, California, died Saturday at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. Winter said a cause of death has not been determined and an autopsy was pending. Officials at Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia said Martinez had just gotten off the looping roller coaster when she lost consciousness Friday afternoon. She was later airlifted to a local hospital, then transferred to Cedars-Sinai. The Los Angeles Times reported that park officials initially reopened the ride for visitors after Martinez was taken off consciousness. However, in the wake of the girl's death, the paper reports that the ride had been closed again while the incident is reviewed. There is no evidence to suggest that this is any way related. We do not know if Jasmine had a pre-existing condition. The Revolution has been at the park since 1976. The 113-foot looping steel roller coaster reaches speeds of 55 miles an hour during a 2-minute ride.
No, thank you. Hate that. Elon Musk is looking for a few good pods. SpaceX, Musk's rocket launch company, has announced a competition to design passenger vehicles for the Hyperloop, a proposed high-speed ground transport system. The competition is intended to appeal to both university students and independent engineering teams, according to SpaceX documents. SpaceX also plans to construct a 1-mile test track adjacent to its headquarters in Hawthorne, which will be used as a testing and competition area for contestants, with a planned start date of June 2016. The idea appears to be Mr. Musk's next step in a plan first proposed in 2013 for a new kind of transportation method faster than high-speed rail but slower than supersonic aircraft that could handle interurban transport from cities about 900 miles or less apart. Much in the original proposal was not detailed, but Musk appears to envision cars inside a tube that transfers high-pressure air from their front to their rear and are suspended like pucks on an air hockey table. The SpaceX Hyperloop Pod competition, as the contest is called, will probably still draw competitors on the same order as skeptics. SpaceX has said it is not interested in developing a commercial Hyperloop itself, but is interested in helping to produce a prototype. Musk may simply be trying to kickstart some original thinking to foster development of an industry, as well as attracting engineers to his company. He previously open sourced all of Tesla's patents with that aim.
It is time for another duel over gun rights in California. In a hearing Tuesday in San Francisco, a federal appeals court offered few clues Tuesday as to whether it plans to leave California's strict concealed carry regulations intact, keeping their guns pretty much holstered during key arguments in a closely watched gun rights legal showdown. However, several members of a special 11-judge panel on the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals signaled that they are inclined to uphold the ability of counties to continue to place restrictions on gun owners to carry concealed weapons in public, despite objections that those rules may trample on Second Amendment rights. While the case involves challenges to regulations in Yolo and San Diego counties, it has implications for local gun control efforts across the state that have similar restrictions in place. And depending on how the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rules, the outcome could force the U.S. Supreme Court to address what many legal experts consider one of the most important unresolved issues in the gun debate: how far the constitutional right to bear arms extends outside the home. It may be the biggest unanswered question in the Second Amendment, said UCLA law professor Adam Winkler. This is a big question and an important one. The case was triggered by a former police officer, Edward Peruta, who is backed by groups such as the National Rifle Association. Peruta sued San Diego County in 2010 when he was denied a concealed carry permit because authorities found that he did not prove good cause for needing one. 21 states have jumped into the case backing Peruta, arguing that regulations such as San Diego's violate the right to bear arms in self-defense. Among other arguments, gun rights groups say their position is backed by two major U.S. Supreme Court decisions over the past decade striking down bans on handguns in the home. Chuck Mitchell, a top lawyer for the NRA, said gun control groups are waging war on those rulings in lower courts. They want to make them mean essentially nothing, he said, that it's no protection at all of those Second Amendment rights. But gun control groups argue that local law enforcement has a right to restrict concealed carry of weapons to protect public safety. Major California law enforcement organizations have backed gun control groups in the case.
An appeals court upheld state regulators' $14.35 million fine Tuesday against Pacific Gas and Electric Company for taking more than 7 months to report defects in a natural gas pipeline in San Carlos, less than 3 years after the lethal explosion of another faulty pipeline in San Bruno. The utility, which now faces a separate $1.6 billion penalty for the San Bruno blast, argued the fine issued by the California Public Utilities Commission for San Carlos was excessive and should not have been imposed at all for what it described as an inadvertent mistake that harmed no one. The First District Court of Appeals in San Francisco rejected those arguments. Although the amount is large, so is the real and potential harm caused by PG&E's inaction, said Justice James Rickman in the 3-0 decision. Because this was a civil penalty rather than a criminal punishment, it could be imposed without proof of intentional wrongdoing. PG&E said it would not appeal. The Commission voted in April to penalize PG&E $1.6 billion for the September 2010 pipeline explosion in San Bruno that killed 8 people, injured 58, and destroyed 38 homes. The company also has been indicted on federal criminal charges that carry potential multi-billion-dollar fines.
Governor Jerry Brown said Monday that California's plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions can be a model when global leaders meet this year to try and fashion a universal agreement to combat climate change. This was after meeting with the United Nations Climate Chief Christiana Figueres and leading climate scientists. California is a significant player in the fight against global warming because its vast economic and technical resources allow it to negotiate with other states as well as foreign governments like Mexico and China. A global agreement is being negotiated ahead of a UN climate summit in November, which will be attended by representatives from more than 195 nations. Before that, Brown plans to bring his message to the Climate Summit of the Americas in Toronto on July 8th. The governor is promoting pending legislation to require that half of the state's electricity come from renewable resources by 2050, and petroleum use in cars and trucks be cut by up to 50%. Brown sat down with Figueres and the researchers at the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County to highlight the scientific consensus around climate change and discuss the need for action at all levels of government.
For the first time in nearly 40 years, state regulators are telling more than 100 growers in irrigation districts with some of the oldest water rights in California that they have to stop drawing supplies from drought-starved rivers and streams in the Central Valley. The curtailment order, issued Friday by the State Water Resources Control Board, has been expected for weeks. Earlier this spring, the board halted diversions under some 8,700 junior rights. With snowmelt reduced to a trickle this year, there simply isn't enough water flowing in rivers to meet the demand of all those with even older rights predating 1914. As the flows continue to decline this summer, board officials said they expect to issue more curtailments, stopping river pumping by more senior diversions. The effect of the curtailments, which affect water users with rights dated 1903, will vary. Many have water in storage that they can continue to use. Utilities that keep using flows for hydropower production as long as the water is returned to the rivers. Some growers and ranchers also have groundwater supplies that are unaffected by the order. A few communities, including Chico and Nevada City, have to stop river withdrawals under the order. But Thomas Howard, the state board's executive director, said they have alternative supplies. Each water right holder has different options available to them, he added. Still, the fact that the state is reaching back more than a century in the hierarchy of California water rights highlights the withering hold of a drought that has also led to the state's first mandatory cuts in urban use. The last time regulators ordered those with pre-1914 water rights to stop diversions was in punishing 1976 to 77 drought. Those curtailments were not as geographically widespread as Friday's, which applies to the Sacramento and San Joaquin River watersheds, as well as the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. But the 1977 curtailments went back further in time. On some river stretches, they stopped withdrawals by all senior diverters. Despite the 1977 precedent, it is likely that Friday's order will spark appeals to the board, as well as legal challenges. People are so dug into their rights that regardless of what we do, it's likely they will ask for a rehearing, Delta Water Master Michael George said last month. There's going to be lots of litigation coming out of this. Within hours of the board's announcement, officials of the Oakdale Irrigation District in the San Joaquin Valley issued a statement saying they were ready to seek a court injunction to put a hold on the curtailment. In California and the West, most rights to surface water are based on when the water was first diverted and used a system known as first in time, first in right. The oldest claims dates the gold rush era, when miners sucked water from streams and used it to blast gold out of the Sierra Nevada foothills. In the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta, growers with riparian rights volunteered last month to reduce their use by 25% this summer, a deal that headed off possible more severe cuts by the state board's Friday's curtailments applied to 86 senior right holders in the Sacramento River watershed, 14 holders to the San Joaquin River watershed, and 14 in the Delta. Because some holders have multiple rights, the total number curtailed Friday was 276. Those with riparian rights were not affected.
In other drought action Friday, Obama administration announced $110 million in additional funding to provide temporary jobs for dislocated Californians to support farmers and to improve water efficiency. The money comes on top of more than $190 million that federal agencies have already committed to aid drought-stricken communities this year, according to officials.
The state's biggest challenge in meeting the population's water supply requirements isn't conservation. It isn't lack of infrastructure, not storage, and not groundwater. It's RHNA, a little-known wonkish piece of legislation embodied in Government Code 65580 that's mostly known to planners, developers, and City Hall staffers. Regional Housing Needs Assessment is a law that requires the State Department of Housing and Community Development to establish the region's existing and projected housing needs. RHNA prods and some might say threatens cities into producing housing, and while it presses for growth, nowhere in the state level is there an evaluation as to whether the water supply is available. The RHNA process starts out with population projections generated by the state's Department of Finance. These population figures are then sent to HCD, which takes this data and develops regional housing allocations. The allocations spread out evenly between Northern and Southern California are distributed among the 38 regional planning agencies through a RHNA determination letter. Every region of the state has a planning agency that assigns housing allocations to the cities and communities they oversee. When regional planning agencies receive the determination letter, they take the regional RHNA allocations in it and break it down to city-level RHNA allocations. This step in the RHNA process tends to get a little ugly. Using a number of factors such as jobs, density, transportation, income levels, developable land, the regional planning agencies divide up the regional allocations into the city-level RHNA allocations. The regional planning agencies do not evaluate whether there is sufficient water supply available to support housing requirements when they impose the allocation on the cities or communities. This is where the disconnect, intentional or not, begins. Some cities like Los Angeles accept these housing allocations with reckless abandon and run with it, while other cities like Irvine have tried unsuccessfully to challenge the regional agency's role in the RHNA allocation in courts. Pleasanton sought to limit growth with caps that were approved by voters, but was sued because her housing plan did not comply with RHNA. The next and final step in the RHNA process is at the city level. Each city, after having received their share of RHNA allocations, was now incorporated into a housing plan called the housing element. The housing element identifies the locations of all the parcels in the city that are candidates for higher density growth. It is one of 11 elements that goes into the city's general plan. This is effectively the only place throughout the RHNA process where water supply comes into play, albeit indirectly. The housing element does not evaluate whether there is a sufficient water supply available to support housing requirements. Instead, it leaves it up to the water agencies. There is no regulatory oversight anywhere in the RHNA process that will hold a project when there is no water to support it. If the water plan is based on faulty assumptions, the project will glide through to approval, making it nearly impossible to create a reliable water supply. Challenging RHNA is not possible. Courts say they have no jurisdiction. Challenging the water is one of the few areas where housing allocations can be reduced, but is not part of the regulatory process. The housing element is updated every 8 years, and a new RHNA allocations come out for each new refresh, so what we see every 8 years are just small chunks of the housing allocations, which keeps the long-term past and future view pretty well hidden. California can never have a reliable water supply unless serious reforms are made to the RHNA. Well, that was a long story.
A lot of RHNAs.
I guess so.
The risk of Middle East respiratory syndrome spreading to California is very low, Karen Smith, the state's top health officer, said Monday. MERS, the deadly virus that is circulating overseas, has made headlines over the last month as it spreads through health facilities in South Korea, killing 16 people and infecting 150 in the largest outbreak outside the Middle East. It has not spread outside of South Korea's hospitals into the wider community. The California Department of Public Health has tested 63 people for MERS since 2013, but all were negative. MERS does not spread easily. Most people are infected when they commingle in crowded hospitals or care for a patient in close contact. Smith advised anyone who comes down with a fever and symptoms of respiratory illness, including a cough or shortness of breath, within 2 weeks of traveling from the Middle East or visiting a health facility in South Korea, to call their health care provider. It is important to call ahead and to mention the travel so precautions can be taken.
California cities have broad authority to require builders to include a percentage of affordable housing in new projects, the state Supreme Court ruled on Monday. The decision keeps affordable housing requirements approved in more than 170 California cities intact, including San Francisco and cities in Silicon Valley, where housing prices are skyrocketing. At an issue was a 2010 San Jose law that requires some new residential developments to set aside 15% of their units for sale at below market rates. The California Building Industry Association said the city failed to justify the 15% requirement and should base any such requirement on an assessment of any negative effect the market rate housing would have. The California Supreme Court sided with San Jose, saying the city's requirement does not require the developer to dedicate any portion of his property to the public or pay any money to the public. It just restricts the way the developer may use the property, so it falls in city's general broad discretion to regulate the use of real property to serve the legitimate interests of the general public and the community at large. In this case, those interests were increasing the amount of affordable housing in the city and of locating such housing in economically diverse developments. A ruling that accepted the builder's argument would have affected similar housing requirements in cities across the state and required them to engage in the type of economic analysis that the Building Association was seeking. Tim Iglesias, a housing law expert at the University of San Francisco School of Law, who wrote a brief in the case in favor of the city, said before the ruling came out, "That could have resulted in a lower affordable housing requirement," he said. "It basically would derail those laws. And if they do come back, they're going to come back possibly as less effective."
iFoster, a nonprofit organization that provides resources and opportunities to foster youth, partnered with the California-based supermarket chain Raley's earlier this year to give children in foster care the opportunity for employment at its stores. The announcement was made in late May. The move is part of the iFoster Jobs program that has placed 7 young people in Raley's stores so far. 4 more are in the process of being hired. So far, all participants have been placed in stores located in Placer County. Raley's stores in Rockland and Roseville were pilots for the program. Starting in California, iFoster is actively seeking child welfare partnerships across the country to bring this program to our youth community, said Sarita Cox, co-founder and executive director of iFoster, in an online statement. Youth aged 16 to 24 are eligible to join a 7-step program that involves a screening and interview process. iFoster completes a pre-employment phase with potential employees before they interview and start working with the company. Executives in the grocery industry approached iFoster last fall, seeing the opportunity for a partnership. It is the largest employer in the U.S. with over 34 million employees and hires several million entry-level employees every year, he said. Richard Knecht, director of the Children's System of Care in Placer County, said that Placer's integrated model of care for children made iFoster and Placer County perfect partners. The system allows all of the county's child care services to be delivered from one organization. He called the program a win-win relationship for Raley's and the involved youths. A public relations specialist for Raley's agreed and said the company looks to expand the program to further stores. We'll be back with your local news.
The taxman's taken all my dough and left me in my stately home, blazing on a sunny afternoon. And I can't sail my yacht, he's taken everything I got. All I've got's this sunny afternoon.
Manticorp Tax and Accounting can help you minimize taxation, establish a corporate presence, and save you money. Our over 25 years of experience in domestic and international taxation and incorporation services makes us the best at what we do. Your first consultation at Manticorp is always free, and our discounted rates guarantee you will not end up paying for what you don't get. Try Manticorp today. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@manticorpusa.com.
In the summertime.
And we're back with local news. A white Dodge truck hit a motorcyclist on Highway 29 and fled yesterday. A bolo, or be on the lookout, was issued and they pulled the truck over in Lower Lake. Unconfirmed reports say the motorcyclist died. Highway 29 was closed for 3 hours.
According to the Napa Valley Register, it was fatal and an arrest was made, and we're not sure which department is holding the hit and run perpetrator at this time. We don't know if it's Napa County or Lake County because it was right near the line. So we'll try to get more information for Friday's newscast, definitely.
Or check LakeHomeMagazine.com. We'll have this.
We'll probably have a story up by the end of the day.
That was a good plug, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was. You guys are thinking.
The Lake County Sheriff Office is still seeking the public's help in locating a veterinarian who mysteriously vanished a week ago. Dr. Helen Sharp, 45 of Middletown, was last seen Wednesday, sheriff's officials said. She reportedly was upset at the time. She had dropped off her damaged 1993 gray Toyota 4Runner at a repair shop in Middletown, then picked it up before it was fixed, according to a family friend. The vehicle had been in a minor crash that damaged the front left side of the vehicle and had restricted the speed to 50 miles per hour. Sharp has a history of depression and reportedly had been involved in a child custody dispute. She is 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs about 190 pounds. She has brown hair and brown eyes. Her vehicle's California license plate number is 5, D as in David, T as in Tom, Y as in yellow, 013. Anyone who may have seen Sharp is asked to phone the Lake County Sheriff's Office at 707-263-2690.
After nearly 2 months of protesting unfair labor practices without pay, union golf course workers and the Hidden Valley Lake Association have reached a settlement agreement. Upon signing the document, General Manager Cindy Spears on June 11th verified that the Homeowners Association understands and agrees that the allegations will be deemed admitted, according to the settlement. A hearing was scheduled between the HVLA and the Laborers Local 324 before an administrative judge in Santa Rosa on Monday. With the settlement reached, however, the HVLA has instead agreed to make nearly $2,000 in back payments for lost work that will be divided among the 13 employees that make up the union, and both parties must return to the negotiating table. The bulk of the back pay will go toward reimbursing workers for pay lost because of the HVLA hired outside contractors. Workers went on strike late April in order to reestablish negotiations for the contract that first expired on October 31st, and then again on December 3rd after an extension was issued. While HVLA and the union representatives met multiple times, nothing was ever finalized. The National Labor Relations Board conducted an investigation into each of the 10 claims, including unfair labor practices, and found sufficient evidence backing them and consolidated them into one document. Owen said the union workers were meeting Friday to determine whether meeting Monday to determine whether they would return to work with the same wage and benefits as before the strike, while a new contract is in negotiations, but no decision was made as of Monday afternoon.
The 4th of July is fast approaching, and Lakeshore Lions Club of Clear Lake will host its 58th annual Redbud Parade and Festival on that day, Saturday, July 4th. The parade leaves Clear Lake's Redbud Park at 11 a.m., follows Lakeshore Drive north, and arrives a mile away at Austin Park, eventually. With an artistic theme like cartoon time, there is no telling when the parade will arrive at Austin Park. But it is better to get there soon because that's where the carnival, the car show, the food, the beverages, music, arts and crafts, worm races, and whatnot else takes place the rest of the day. Then you stay into the evening for fireworks, co-sponsored by PG&E and countless local businesses. Parade participants are invited to decorate and dress as cartoon characters and even build cartoon cars, but this is not required. Of course, there will be prizes and trophies. The Show and Shine car is in its 16th year. Show and Shine car show is in its 16th year and is open to all vehicles of special interest. The international worm races are perpetrated by the Clear Lake Chamber of Commerce. The carnival, with rides, games, and concessions provided by Shepner Shows, opens Thursday, July 2nd and runs through Sunday, July 5th. The Redbud Parade is the largest annual fundraiser for the Lakeshore Lions and Lioness clubs. Show your community spirit by supporting their all-volunteer efforts. They are even accepting new members. Learn more at thelakeshorelions.org. Parade and car show applications can be picked up from Clear Lake Automotive, Kevin Ness Jewelers, and Tatonka Trading, all on Lakeshore Drive, and from Bob's Vacuums at Mullen and Pearl, and from the Chamber of Commerce office in the Senior Center on Burns Valley at Bowers. Arts and crafts vendors should telephone Bob Keel at 994-9752. Car show questions will be answered by Kevin Ness at 994-2307. And Parade Chairman Ray Bridges can be reached at 994-3070.
Worm races?
Yeah. Maybe my car will be running by then and I can take it to the car show.
Whatever.
They're famous, their signature for.
And folks, if you missed all those phone numbers, you can find them on our archive show probably by tomorrow morning at the latest at lakehomemagazine.com, 2015 archives. Okay, are you a home brewer? Do you make your own wine? Organizers of the annual Lake County Home Wine and Beer Makers Festival are seeking entrance to this year's event taking place at Lakeport's Library Park on Saturday, June 27th. Home brewers and winemakers from across Northern California are urged to share tastes of their best efforts with an admiring public, along with winning recognition from a panel of professional judges. There are no fees for the amateurs, though they are urged to provide a canopy or other sunshade and lawn furniture for both themselves and their guests. All participants should contact Ed Bublitz at 707-277-7076 or at edandcharb1 at att.net for space reservations, or Charlie Schlee 707-279-2997 or lcsacharlie@gmail.com. Those are for wine entries. The Wine Fest, as it's called, is now in the 13th year and is a major fundraiser for the Lake County Symphony, one more time, and youth orchestras, as well as providing music teaching for many local young people. During the festival, music is provided by a variety of sources, including the popular David Neff duo and acoustic classical guitarist Travis Rinker. In addition to the amateurs, many of Lake County's leading commercial wineries and breweries also will be on hand, pouring taste for the public, who will pay just $20 per advance sale ticket or $25 at the gate, which includes a commemorative wine glass, as well as ballots for voting in the popular People's Choice Awards. Advance tickets are available at the Lake County Chamber of Commerce, as well as Watershed Books. They're also available at the tasting rooms for most of the county's leading commercial wineries. Food and arts and crafts vendors will also be featured, along with a silent auction and raffles. The event is open to the public from 1 to 5 p.m. Children and leashed pets are welcome, although beverage tastings are restricted to those 21 years and older. Check the festival's website at www.lakecountyhomewinemakers.com for additional information.
On July 1st at 6 p.m., the Lake County Youth Services Junior Giants will present the Pros and Cons for Kids, a youth empowerment seminar featuring Ethan Ramson, director of the organization and a retired San Francisco 49er Super Bowl champion. He will do a presentation on the problems of low self-esteem, alcohol and substance abuse, and the importance of knowing how to deal with negative peer pressure, the facts on legal age drinking, and addressing these problems with our youth in today's world. Along with the presentation, Mr. Ramsden will bring his Super Bowl ring for the kids to see. He is excited to be bringing his program to Lake County. This event will be held at the center field of the Little League Field on Ball Park and is open to the public of all ages. Seating is limited, so please bring your own folding chairs.
Super Bowl ring would be on display. That's kind of a cool thing to look at.
Yeah.
Okay, the Mendocino County Board of Supervisors will be considering the continuation of its contract for the killing of predators like coyotes and bears at its Tuesday meeting. According to the staff report prepared for the June 16th meeting, the county suspended its contract for animal killing with the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Services in April, following a lawsuit filed by conservationists, including the Animal Legal Defense Fund, that alleged the county violated the California Environmental Quality Act. As part of a settlement to the lawsuit, the county agreed to complete an environmental review evaluating other non-lethal predator control options. The county's $142,000 contract with Wildlife Services allows the killing of predatory animals like coyotes, bears, bobcats, and foxes since December 2004, when the Board of Supervisors first authorized the agreement with the USDA, and it has historically been renewed every 5 years since, although the actual work and financial plan for the agreement is evaluated yearly. The county's work and financial plan follow the USDA Wildlife Service to prevent predation to livestock, crops, and other property, and to protect public health and safety. In Mendocino County alone, the ALDF said Wildlife Services reported a total of 376 predatory animals killed in 2008, 438 in 2009, 264 in 2010, 392 animals in 2011, and 459 in 2012, which was the latest data listed in the original complaint. Coyotes were the majority of the kills for the last 5 years, with a total of 874 being killed, although 21 bobcats were also taken during that period, along with 28 mountain lions, 82 black bears, 29 gray and red foxes, according to the ALDF. County staff's environmental review has determined that its integrated wildlife damage management program is exempt from the CEQA or CEQA, and requests that the BOS accept staff's recommendation to adopt a CEQA exemption and that it approves the renewal of the IWDM program, which will expire on June 30th. As an alternative, staff notes that the BOS can direct staff to complete an environmental impact report, and if so, staff requests that the IWDMP be continued for as long enough time to allow staff to complete the environmental review. Those opposed to continuing the contract without completing an EIR allege that action will put the county at risk of violating its settlement agreement regarding the lawsuit.
For a great time, good food, and fun people, head on over to the South Lake County Fire Protection District's best fundraiser on Friday night at the Twin Pines Casino for 32 amazing live auction lots and over 100 magnificent general raffle prizes, including several bottles of specialty wines. This year's event is shaping up to be pretty incredible, featuring a prime rib and salmon dinner, wine, games, guns, and a live auction, raffles, and much more. It's a great event supporting an even greater cause. If you're planning on attending, but you don't have your tickets yet, you need to go get them ASAP. There are only a handful left. That's this Friday, June 19th, 5 to 10 p.m. at the Twin Pines Event Center, just south of Middletown on Highway 29. For tickets, contact south.lake.fire@gmail.com or call 707-987-3089, extension 4, and leave a message.
And before we get on to the break for weather and sports, for those who have not attended that event, you gotta go. Not only is it fun, the prizes, the what do they call them, the silent auction, the games, the people there is just fantastic, and it is for a good cause for the fire district.
Take me, because I want to go.
Get our media passes. So folks, you haven't gone before, it is a great event. The food is good, the wine flows, the drinks flow. It's worthwhile going.
I have to work 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. that day, so
I'm sorry.
I don't get to go.
They're so much fun.
Okay, are we taking a break for the weather?
Yes.
We'll be back with the weather.
SSS Multimedia is sending you smoke signals, providing their clients with the ultimate communication and multimedia marketing, distribution, production, and web-based services. They feature high-def video equipment and quality audio sound. SSS is your multimedia source, from graphics for business cards to television production, radio, live sound, and everything in between. SSS is sending you smoke signals. Get your message out with SSS Multimedia. For more information, call 707-701-6416 or email info@sssmultimedia.com.
And we're back with the weather. Last night hit a low of 56 degrees with a mild breeze. Today we will see partly cloudy skies with a high of 96. Winds will shift to the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight we'll see clear skies with a low of 56. Winds will remain from the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday will be mainly sunny with a high of 91. Winds will switch to the southwest-southwest to increase to 10 to 20 miles per hour. The evening will be clear with a low around 55. Winds holding steady from the west-southwest, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Friday is expected to be sunny with a high of 92 when we see you back in here. Winds will be staying from the west-southwest, reducing to 10 to 15 miles per hour. We have a 0% chance of rain for this period of time.
No
It's
break in
heating
the
up.
heat, huh?
It's heating up.
My air conditioning bill is going to be outrageous. That's coming from an accountant, I guess. In sports, if you haven't already heard, the Golden State Warriors ended their 40-year wait for a championship and ensured that the city of Cleveland's title drought would last at least one more year. 5 Warriors scored in double figures as Golden State defied LeBron James' 32-point, 18-rebound effort to defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers 105-97 Tuesday to capture the NBA's greatest prize for the first time since Rick Barry led them to the 1975 title. Stephen Curry and Finals MVP Andre Iguodala each finished with 25 points, while Draymond Green recorded a triple-double with 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. For Cleveland, Timofey Mozgov, 17 points and 12 rebounds, and Tristan Thompson, 15 points and 13 rebounds, notched double-doubles, but the absence of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love proved too much for the Cavaliers to overcome. Golden State head coach Steve Kerr became the 8th head coach in NBA history to collect a championship in the first year, adding to the 5 he won as a player with the Chicago Bulls and San Antonio Spurs. After falling behind 2 points early in the third quarter, the Warriors took control with Curry, the league's MVP, and Iguodala leading the way. They outscored the Cavaliers 28-18 in the third quarter, quieting a rocking Cleveland crowd and opening a lead even the brilliant James couldn't overcome. Golden State allowed the Cavaliers to creep within 8 points in the fourth quarter before unleashing a flurry of threes to ensure they would be taking the Larry O'Brien Trophy back to California. This series, which opened with 2 overtime games in Oakland, flipped with Kerr employed a small lineup in the fourth quarter of Game 3, and the Warriors nearly overcame a 20-point deficit before losing. Kerr stuck with a revamped lineup in Game 4, giving Iguodala a start, switching Green to center and benching the ineffective Andre Bogut. The move was as golden as the Warriors, who finished with 83 wins, third highest single-season total in history. Go ahead and take the next one.
Okay. Did you see the videos of all the celebrators, though?
Oh, yeah.
Jumping on buses and such?
No damage yet.
Not yet. In baseball action, the San Francisco Giants, in the first game of the series with the Seattle Mariners, stopped their 9-home game losing streak by beating the Mariners with a score of 6-2 on Tuesday evening. Matt Duffy homered, Casey McGee added a 2-run double, and Angel Pagan hit an RBI single as the Giants snapped their longest home skid since the 11-gamer at New York Polo Grounds in 1940. Tim Lincecum, 7-3, allowed 2 runs and 5 hits in 5 2/3 innings to get the win in his second start against his hometown team. Lincecum, who has won 5 of 6 decisions at home, failed to make it out of the 6th inning. He allowed a solo homer in the 5th to Miller and then an RBI single to Miller in the 6th that cut the lead to 3-2. The Game 4 series now switches to Seattle for the final 2 games.
Sogar's RBI single in the 9th inning lifted the Oakland A's to a 6-5 victory over the San Diego Padres and their new interim manager, Pat Murphy. Sogar, who played for Murphy when he was the manager of the Arizona State University baseball team, Ben Zobrist hit a 2-run homer off Andrew Kashner, wrong country, to give the A's a 5-3 lead in the 6th inning. Scott Kazmir went 5 innings, allowing 3 runs and 5 hits with 8 strikeouts.
The North Shore Warriors youth football teams are holding sign-ups for the upcoming 2015 season on June 24th and June 25th from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. both days at the Century Market in Nice. Players need to bring certified copies of their birth certificates to the sign-ups. Call Gary Smith at 274-8809 for more information.
Mendocino College is hosting a basketball camp for boys and girls June 22nd through June 25th at the college gym in Ukiah. Camp directors are Mendocino College women's coach Jody Staliga and Mendocino College men's coach Billy O'Phil. The camp consists of 2 sessions. Session 1 is for ages 7 to 11, and camp hours are 8 a.m. to noon each day. Session 2 is for ages 12 through 16, and camp hours are 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. The cost for either session is $100 for early sign-ups or $110 for walk-up sign-ups. Each camper will receive a t-shirt, sports bracelet, bag, and water bottle. There are also daily prizes and camp awards. Instructors will teach proper warm-ups and stretching, position work, shell defense, and post-swing point guard work. There will be daily games and competitions. You can register online at endurancecui.active.com or you can call Jody Staliga at 468-3166, or reach her by email at jstaliga@mendocino.edu. And that email address again is jsteliga@mendocino.edu.
For our final word, these are always fun. Neil Young has blasted Donald Trump for using one of his songs to launch his presidential run without permission, and says he's backing a rival candidate. When Donald launched his campaign yesterday, he strode onto the stage at Trump Tower to the sound of Young's 1989 classic, Rockin' in the Free World. It was a triumphant moment for Trump, who clearly chose a favorite song for his huge moment in his life and career. But Young seems less impressed and issued a statement distancing himself from the whole thing. It read, Donald Trump was not authorized to use Rockin' in the Free World, and his presidential candidacy announcement. Neil Young, a Canadian citizen, is a supporter of Bernie Sanders for President of the United States of America. The Trump campaign issued a response that read, through a license agreement with ASCAP, Mr. Trump's campaign paid for and obtained the legal right to use Neil Young's recording of Rockin' in the Free World at today's event.
Yeah, never mind. A good song though.
Yeah.
I know you're too young.
I
Never
know,
mind.
yeah.
Thank you for joining us on LCM TV News. We are your hosts. Yes, we are. I am Pete Schiffman.
I'm Megan Berger.
Our next live newscast will be Friday at noon. Archives for this show can be seen on LakeHomeMagazine.com in the 2015 archives of the news section. We will see you Friday and have a great day.
Stay cool out there.